Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, and welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. So glad to be back with you all after a week absence. Thank you all for tuning in. And I just want to say before I get started, I just want to thank everybody, that reached out to me on last week. For those that don't know, I was hospitalized last week. I had a case of the pneumonia, and I gotta tell you, man, my week from Sunday to Sunday has been life changing. If I can just give y'all a few minutes to tell y'all what happened. Sunday I was hospitalized out here in South Carolina. I was dealing with pneumonia, and I ended up getting checked into the hospital, man. And while I was in the hospital, they thought that they can just give me some meds and they can possibly, send me home. But shouts out to my girl, man, who is a nurse practitioner. She noticed that when they were going to send me home, she noticed that when they did some blood work on me, she noticed that my blood count dropped from the first time I went to the doctor on a Friday. And she then told me to try to get some more tests and because she asked me to do so because she's a nurse practitioner once again. I did some tests and they found out that I had a very rare form of anemia called hemolytic anemia. And honestly, if they would have sent me home, most likely I probably wouldn't be talking to you all today. So, man, first off, I want to give a special shout out. This show is dedicated to my beautiful fiance, man. She saved my life, and I love her to death. And then I spent a couple of days in the hospital, and crazy how things go. I get home on a Thursday, and my son get hospitalized on a Friday because he's dealing with an issue called RSV, which is a respiratory virus for young kids. Because we all know if you have a child, most kids breathe through their nose and not their mouth. So, so we were in a hospital with him for 2 days. So we seemed like we were doing a little tag team thing. I tag out the hospital, he tags in, but we're all at home right now, man. And I'm really excited about that. I'm not where I want to be as of right now, but I'm getting there. And shouts out to my little man who is doing so much better. So, man, I'm just excited. I'm just excited to do a show. I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited to talk to each and every one of you, man. So, shouts out to everybody who have reached out to me, emailed me. Shouts out to Jared Poor, man. Shouts out to Chosen, man. People that hit me up, Isaiah, man. Shouts out to you, man. Thank y'all so much for your love and your support. And this first game back after missing 5 games, they allowed Teddy Bridgewater to come back and play one more game before the bye, and then give Drew Brees opportunity to, go out there and just knock off the rust through practice and stuff like that. But Drew Brees, man, he did what Drew Brees does. And I mean, over 300 yards passing, 34-43, 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Drew Brees is back. The offense was clicking on all cylinders in the second half. In the first half, I wasn't very impressed by the New Orleans Saints. I think they were really, really sloppy. I think they left a lot of points on the field. I feel like in the first half, Sean Payton was doing a little bit too much to try to prove to everybody that Drew Brees is back at Drew Brees form. I understand that Drew Brees is back. I understand that we love Drew Brees. We appreciate Drew Brees. But, I feel like Latavius Murray, the way he was running the ball in the first half, I think he should have got more carries. Man, he was getting about 5, 6 yards a clip in the first half. And it was really one of those Latavius Murray games. And ever since last week against the Chicago Bears, Latavius Murray has answered the call. A lot of people in the Who That Nation were asking questions about Latavius. Where's Latavius? Why isn't he playing? Why is it so much of the Alvin Kamara show? But now that we see that Latavius Murray is capable of toting the rock, and we see the type of running back that he is one of those guys where you continuously feed him, he wears down the defense. And he has done that for the last 2 weeks. For 2 straight weeks, Latavius Murray goes over 100 yards, multiple touchdowns in a game. So I was really impressed by that. I want to talk a little bit about the defense. The defense did an outstanding job containing Kyler Murray. When you're dealing with a dual threat quarterback, a guy that can hurt you with his arm and his leg, you got to make sure that you have that linebacker always spying on him. And the Saints mixed it up a little bit. You know, they really exposed Kyler Murray for being the rookie quarterback that he was. He was out there. It seemed like he was a little bit confused at times. Shouts out to Dennis Allen, you know, disguising some of these blitzes and stuff like that. The Saints aren't really a team that blitzes because most of the time they could get home with their front four. But in this game, Dennis Allen kind of mixed it up, you know, threw some things that Kyler Murray, I don't think he was too much prepared for. The running game defense, well, the running defense, I should say, was really, really stout. I gotta say, it was really stout. They couldn't do anything, you know, as far as running the ball, and that's a good thing because Edmonds, he was coming off a career high last week. You know that he probably was expecting to go out there and really make some noise, but the Saints kind of shut him down. He left the game with a hamstring injury, and in comes Zach Zenner, the guy who played for the Saints in Chicago last week, and he was in the game. And when I saw him, man, I knew it was over because when you sign a guy off the street in a week and you got him coming into the game, you know, I mean, you can see him talking to Kyler Murray. And to be honest with you, I mean, Kyler Murray, that's kind of like the blind leading the blind. I mean, this is a rookie quarterback who's probably still trying to grasp the playbook himself. And now he has to tell the running back where the blitz is coming from and where to pick up the blitz and stuff like that. So it was very troubling for the Arizona Cardinals. The defensive player of the game, in my opinion, was C.J. Gardner-Johnson. The guy was all over the field. He was making plays. I mean, tackles, you know, for loss. He was out there, you know, open field tackles. And he was great in coverage. Probably one of his best a factor in the game. Kirk wasn't really a factor in the game. So, outstanding job by the defense. And they didn't let him in the end zone. And that's all you can ask for. I am going to say this, man. I'm going to give a shout out to Zane Gonzalez of the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know if y'all remember the game last year. He was a kicker for the Cleveland Browns. He was that kicker that was missing all those field goals, man. I think he missed like 4 field goals, and you know, he was one of the main reasons why the Saints was able to get that win over the Cleveland Browns. But I want to say this too. You know, I mean, it's a very funny business that we're in. So Zane Gonzalez gets another opportunity with the Arizona Cardinals, and he was kicking really well. So it's good to see that this man is still in the league. But speaking of kicking, Will Lutz, a guy who has been clutch for the last couple of seasons. I don't know if he's seeing ghost like Sam Darnold is, but I think he needs to get it together, man. He's too much of an elite kicker to allow some of his woes that happened in Chicago to trickle on to the fields of the Superdome. I mean, he missed a field goal that could have possibly put the Saints up in the beginning in the first quarter. I mean, it didn't really affect the team, but I mean, later on down the line when the Saints are going to need you to make a crucial kick in order to put them in a lead or try to sustain a lead, you got to make sure that you are available and you got to make sure that you're willing and ready to get the job done. So, all in all, great performance from start to finish. Once again, first half they left a lot of points on the field. That holding call by Armstead, you know, that negated a touchdown by Dan Arnold. I feel like that was very poor clock management by the New Orleans Saints. There was a few things that you've seen. You can tell that Drew Brees was a little bit sloppy in this game. You can tell that you know, he still needed to go out there and, you know, throw the ball around. No matter how many years you've been in the league, rather you've been in the league for 2 years, 20 years. I mean, you still gonna have that jitters when you miss a game. So Drew Brees, I mean, he kind of shook it off, and he went out there and he performed, man, and did exactly what we knew Drew Brees can do, and that is be at an elite level. I mean, once again, over 300 yards passing. You know, Latavius Murray running the football. Michael Thomas. I think it's time for us to say that Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the National Football League. I think everybody should say that. I mean, I know we got the Julios out there, we got the Odells, and all these other guys, but the most consistent wide receiver in the National Football League is Michael Thomas. I mean, you go up against an elite cornerback and Patrick Peterson, and make no mistake about it, it wasn't like Patrick Peterson wasn't following Michael Thomas throughout this game. I mean, he was following him through this game, and when you can see that Michael Thomas was out there with the quick slants, a very dependable guy. So In my opinion, right now, as of today, Michael Thomas is the best wide receiver in the National Football League. Now we get lost with speed and we get lost with all these exotic catches, guys catching the ball off a dude helmet, guys catching the ball with one hand snags and all that kind of stuff, all that sexy stuff. But when you're talking about a lunch pail mentality, when you're talking about a guy that just comes to work, handle up on his business, and not to mention a guy that gets paid and still goes out there and elevates his game, that tells you right there who is among the greats right there, who wants to be great. Because he could have easily phoned it in. He could have easily said, I got my money, just like some of these other players out here. But he goes out there and he tells Mickey Loomis at the contract table that I'm going to come back and see you again so we can renegotiate once again. So that shows you right there how much um, he is and how much passion he has for his team, man. Much respect to Michael Thomas. But New Orleans Saints, they got a bye week. Then they come back and they take on the Atlanta Falcons, a team that is struggling. They lost today against the Seattle Seahawks. As a matter of fact, everybody in the NFC South lost today. Uh, I mean, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers losing to the Tennessee Titans, and the Carolina Panthers, man, got straight up shellacked by the San Francisco 49ers, man, who look like they pretty legit out there, man. I mean, they absolutely destroyed the Carolina Panthers, man. So it looked like the New Orleans Saints are going to have to be that team to handle up on them 49ers, man. It's going to be very interesting down the stretch. Them NFC West teams always seem to give the Saints problems down the line, but we're going to see what's going to happen, man. I'm really confident in New Orleans Saints because you got your leader and Drew Brees back. You got him out there, and you got your defense playing at a high level. So you know the New Orleans Saints are going to make some noise. Shouts out to Iceman T for donate $2 to the super chat. Thank you very much, Iceman T. Also, you can donate through the super chat, or you can also donate through Streamlabs and submit your donations there. But thank you all very much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, man. I'm just excited to be back once again. So without further ado, man, let me go ahead and see some of your questions or see some of your comments about the game. Once again, you can always send your chats and stuff like that. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, you can always just go ahead and send a chat down below. I answer those. I'm not one of those guys that just, oh, if you don't donate, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to make any comments about your comments. That's not how I work here, man. I'm just passionate about the team, man. I love talking with you all, and thank you all for spending some time with me on tonight. Young Nola, what's going on, man? Appreciate you for checking it out. Drew Brees, the King's back. Now I wouldn't consider myself a king, man, but I will say that I'm blessed. Man, honestly, like I said, the week that I had, I'm just so glad that I have opportunity to talk to y'all, man. Y'all just don't know how close I was from not being with you all today. Cheryl Waller, thank you very much for donating $5 through the super chat. Thank you very much, man. I really do appreciate that. Um, Young Nola, you always the first one, man. It's rather you or Jerry, always the first one, man, and I appreciate that. Uh, you feeling better? Wyatt, I'm feeling much better. Once again, I'm not where I need to be just yet, but I'm much better than I was last week, man, and I'm here, so that's a great feeling. Um, I'm glad Drew is back. That's by Jackie Franklin. Jackie, I think we all can say that we're happy that Drew Brees is back. Um, I heard, speaking of which, Drew Brees is back, but I want to mention this. I read an article not too long ago that the New Orleans Saints are possibly looking to make a trade for a playmaker. And I know there was a lot of articles that were going around. I think the New York Jets wide receiver Robbie Anderson was one of the guys that people were talking about. Also, AJ Green out in Cincinnati. Emmanuel Sanders was there until he got picked up by the 49ers today. And so the Saints possibly could be bringing another playmaker inside the offense, which I feel like they need. I mean, Michael Thomas, I think we all can agree, is a very great wide receiver. But on top, I mean, honestly, I mean, if without him, I mean, who you gonna throw the ball to? I mean, Ted Ginn Jr. I mean, you can throw the ball to him, but He's not one of those dependable guys. Austin Carr, I think this is the first time I seen him catch a pass all season today. And then you had other guys, that came off the street. The Keyshawn Hogan guy, and I mean, but they need some guys that can go out there, man. A veteran that can go out there and get himself open, that Drew Brees can rely on and can depend on, and be a very integral part of the offense on the other side of Michael Thomas. They're gonna need that down the stretch, man. Teams are loading up, man. They're trying to make a run at it. I mean, everybody seems like they're racing to try to get that number one seed, man. And the New Orleans Saints, they got to continue to win. I mean, the Green Bay Packers, they're playing tonight, right now as I speak. You got the 49ers, you got the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, you got so many teams in NFC right now. These guys are trying to make a run at it. So the New Orleans Saints, I mean, as good as they're playing right now, you can never have too many weapons on your offense. Let's see. AJ Pierce said, "Welcome back, man. Thank you, man." Uh, John T said, "Who that?" What's going on, John T? Let's see. Like I said, man, I'm just glad to be back. I appreciate you all for your love and your support, man. Thank y'all for tuning in, checking out the podcast. Uh, I'm trying to go down to because I talked for a while, so I'm trying to get to some of the questions. Thomas got hurt on that catch. Yeah, it seemed like he was limping off to the side, man. I agree with that. He was limping off to the side. It seemed like he was kind of injured, which you don't want to see that. I definitely don't want to see that. Had to plug in my laptop. But anyway, yeah, man, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see Michael Thomas get hurt. But hopefully he all right. Cliff Kingsbury was exposed. Um, I wouldn't say he was exposed because, quite honestly, I ain't really expecting nothing out of Cliff Kingsbury anyway. Look, I mean, this is a copycat league that we watch every single week, folks. Everybody's in love with them young, sexy offensive coordinator type guys. Everybody wants Sean McVay now because they see how successful Sean McVay is in Los Angeles. So now everybody wants him. Cincinnati, they got him. Cliff Kingsbury, he's one of those guys. I mean, you got Matt LaFleur out there in Green Bay. Everybody wants one of those hot shot offensive guys. And Cliff Kingsbury, I never expected much out of him anyway, to be honest with you. So he didn't really get exposed to me. I always felt like he's a better college coach than he was an NFL coach. And honestly, I just don't think that the no huddle offense, constantly running that no huddle, is going to be beneficial to your team. We tried that with Chip Kelly out there in Philadelphia. That didn't work. And now you think that you're going to try that same old Oklahoma Lincoln Riley type offense, and you think that you are going to get success in the National Football League. That's not going to happen. I mean, it's exciting to watch and all that kind of stuff, but um, I don't think that it's going to trickle off into the National Football League, man. These guys are too athletic. These guys are world class athletes. I mean, great shape. This isn't a guy. These aren't the guys that's going to be doing your taxes in a couple years. These aren't the guys that's going to be your lawyer in a couple years. You know what I'm saying? These are guys that are professional athletes. Guys that were drafted, that was signed by organizations, because these guys are some of the best athletes in the world. And when you bring in a college type offense to the professional ranks, you got to make sure that it's legit. And I just never been a fan of the no huddle offense, to be honest with you. We might go 15-1 this year. Yeah, I mean, it's looking like it, man. I mean, if you got the combination of a good offense and a good defense, um, the New Orleans Saints seems to have that, and they're clicking, man. No doubt about it. They are clicking. So I'm excited about that, man. Hopefully everybody else is excited. I mean, it's very rare that we see a New Orleans Saints team that can beat you with their offense or their defense. Iceman T said, "I miss you, man." I'm thank you, man. Iceman, I miss y'all too, man. Real talk. And shouts out to Iceman T, man. Y'all check out his YouTube channel. I think yeah, he put out something today, man. Y'all check it out. He put out his post game thoughts about the game against the Arizona Cardinals. So y'all check out Iceman T. I checked that out when I was still at the hospital. We was waiting on my son to get discharged from the hospital today, man. So y'all check out Iceman T. Um, just hope Michael Thomas is okay. Yeah, I think he'll be okay, man. I mean, he got injured on the play, but nevertheless, he still has like a couple weeks in order for him to heal up and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure, if he has like a little nagging injury or whatever like that, he'll be able to rehab it over the break. So, um, yeah, shouts out to Michael Thomas, man. He'll be okay. Jared Poor, what's going on, man? I appreciate it, man. Thanks for checking out the podcast and thank you for your kind words, my friend. Uh, Lutz will be okay. I agree with that. Lutz will be okay. I think that Will Lutz, he's just dealing with those demons, man. And honestly, I don't want him to fall into that Dan Bailey realm. I mean, I don't know if y'all remember Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey kicked for the Dallas Cowboys for many, many years. Probably one of the most accurate kickers in NFL history. And then all of a sudden, he just started missing field goals. And the next thing you know, you're seeing him out there in Minnesota kicking field goals. So I don't want to see that happen to Will Lutz, man. But those demons do leak inside your mind, and you start thinking and wondering, and your mind start wandering, and you're thinking, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it? So Will Lutz is too much of an asset to the New Orleans Saints for him to get those thoughts in his mind. So whatever he's going through, you might want to fix it. uh, let's see, 7-1, absolutely. So glad we didn't lose this game with Drew back in the game. Yeah, I'm glad too, man. I definitely am. I'm glad that Drew Brees, was able to come back, play in this game, and the Saints rise to the occasion and continuously play as if he wasn't there. That was my concern right there. It's one thing when you have your leader out there on the field. Guys feel like, oh man, we got Drew, so if something happened, man, we can do this, that, and the third. And guys aren't thinking like that. Guys are still out there doing their job to the best of their ability, and it doesn't seem like you know nothing's really missing. So I'm excited about that, and I think, like I said, you all should be excited about it too. Taysom Hill, our number two wide receiver. That man can go. Yeah, Taysom Hill did an outstanding job today. The Saints lined him up mostly at the tight end position. They lined him up at the tight end position, and he made some plays, man. And that's another reason why I say that the Saints need to go out here and get another playmaker, another guy wide receiver, man, because not dissing Taysom Hill, but he is a quarterback at the end of the day, and you shouldn't have your quarterback out there, being your number two in receptions. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of funny to me, but the Saints do need somebody to go the opposite of Michael Thomas, man. So if they can get Robbie Anderson or AJ Green, that might be a plus for them, and that might be exactly what the Saints need to really truly get them over that hump. Mike T is the best in the league. I agree. Uh, let's see. Do you think we have anyone else to worry about in the regular season other than the 49ers? Man, you got a couple teams to worry about. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I know a lot of people, don't really think about this, but I mean, the Saints down the stretch, they are playing their division rivals. Like the Atlanta Falcons is the next game, and we're laughing at the Falcons, man. We laughing at them. We think it's funny. You know what I'm saying? We think that it's funny because these boys out here 1-7 can't win a game. But at the end of the day, there's such thing as pride, and when these guys go out here and they're playing against their division rivals, no matter what the record is, you got to kind of throw that out of the window. I remember when the Atlanta Falcons were riding high. I think it was a couple years ago. I don't know, it was like 2012, 2013, or something like that. I think the Atlanta Falcons, excuse me, after the Atlanta Falcons, they were like 8-0 or something like that, and the Saints came out there and they beat them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the Saints weren't really good there. I think the Saints maybe like 3-5 or something like that. So I mean, you got to throw records out of the window when it comes to that. So I think that the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, you can talk about and laugh at them all you want to, but they can't be a threat to the Saints. The Carolina Panthers can be a threat to the Saints. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers can be a threat to the Saints. I mean, I think the Saints can beat all of those guys, but I mean, and not to mention, I mean, you playing against teams in the AFC South around the time the Saints going to be playing. These guys going to be desperate, man. You got the Indianapolis Colts. You still got to play the Tennessee Titans. I mean, these guys are going to be desperate. So the New Orleans Saints, I mean, they cannot look past anybody. And the Saints got a target on their back, man. You got to understand that too. I mean, when you're thinking about the class of the NFC, and for the last couple years, people have been saying who the best team in the NFC, the Saints name has always come up. The Saints name has always come up, and the Saints have become a little bit of what they call a measuring stick, man. Teams measure themselves up against a New Orleans Saints team. So a team want to have that win against the Saints on their resume. A win against Drew Brees, a win against Sean Payton. So the Saints can't look past anybody. I mean, they really like. I know people use this cliche 24-hour rule, we going 1-0 this week, blah 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 blah. But you really gotta have that mind frame. You really gotta have that 1-0 mind frame. You really can't be like, okay, oh man, we gonna whoop them on to next week. Now we can't do that, man. We gotta handle up on their business. But the Saints, to me, are built kind of differently. The Saints did exactly what they should have done today. I mean, they should have beat the brakes off the Arizona Cardinals, and they did. That's what great teams do. That's what great teams do when they go up against opposition that is not as good as them. They go out there and they impose their will. And the New Orleans Saints did just that. That's the difference between the Saints teams of old, in my opinion. Usually Saints team of old, they'll be better than the team they're going up against. They'll let that team linger around and then some funny stuff happen at the end. But the New Orleans Saints, they stepped on the gas, man, and that's exactly what you need to do, and that's exactly what the Saints need to do down the stretch, in order for them to continue to have success going forward. So I'm not even thinking about the 49ers right now. So many things can change. I mean, so many opportunities can pass. I mean, the 49ers can lose between now and playing the Saints, and the Saints can lose a couple times between now and playing against the 49ers. I mean, you cannot just be like, okay, I'm looking forward to this game. I mean, that's a couple weeks from now. That's kind of down the line. So the New Orleans Saints better continue to keep on winning, man, because I mean, you still got teams like the Packers with one loss. I mean, you still got teams like the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, they got two losses. They're still right there in the race. I mean, you got some teams out here that can easily like take your spot if the Saints mess around and slip up. And not to mention the Minnesota Vikings as well, sitting there with two losses. So the Saints better be very, very careful. Uh, the Saints need to win a Super Bowl. Well, that's exactly what the goal is. Everything good. That's exactly what the goal is. They need to win the Super Bowl, but you can't win a Super Bowl if you don't make the playoffs, and you can't make the playoffs. Well, the way that you make the playoffs is that you win your division, and that's what the Saints need to be focused on right now: winning the division, and then everything else will kind of work itself out. Thomas is on pace for 146 receptions, 1,750 yards, 8 touchdowns. Whoa. Yep. That's what it seems like. He seems to be on pace to break Marvin Harrison's record of 145 receptions, I think, something like that. So, um, to be honest with you, Marvin Harrison is by far one of my favorite wide receivers of all time, if not my favorite. And I think that the type of player that Michael Thomas is, I think that he is exactly the type of player that should break Marvin Harrison's record. I mean, his demeanor and everything like that. Not to say that he's the same type of player as Marvin Harrison. He's a little bit more vocal, but the way that he carries himself, the way that he has that lunch pail mentality, um, I think that Marvin Harrison and him are kind of like in the kind of same realm or whatever. So. What do you think about Marcus Davenport's development? I think he's doing an outstanding job. I mean, no, he's not getting home, and no, he's not getting sack after sack like Cam Jordan is, and no, he's not one of those guys who go out there and do all this crazy stuff. But what he does is a really great job at gap containment. I mean, he does a really good job at setting the edge. I mean, he does a great job. Every time you see Marcus Davenport, you never see a guy when they do a sweep to the left, him letting somebody get past him. Like he's one of those guys who has a really good motor. I think the issue is I think he just needs to get a little bit stronger in my opinion. I think that he needs a little bit more acceleration off the ball, and I think he needs a little bit more confidence in himself. I think he's still out there thinking. He's one of those guys that's really right now, in my opinion, he's kind of like Ziggy Ansah. When Ziggy first got into the league, he was a guy who had a whole bunch of athletic ability, and he was making it off his athletic ability. And eventually, he got coached up to be a very good pass rusher. And I think that's what you have with Davenport. Davenport, in my opinion, has the capability of being a Saints great. I think he can be one of those guys that can be, talked about like Cam Jordan is, climbing up the ranks to be one of the all-time greatest, defensive pass rushers in Saints history. I think he has that capability. I mean, he's had more sacks in his first 2 seasons than Cam Jordan had in his first 2 seasons. So, he's just making it off athletic ability alone. So imagine what he can do once he gets stronger, once he gets faster, once he gets more burst, once he really gets it down packed. I think he can really be a serious threat down the line. So I like Davenport a lot. Michael Thomas will be the best wide receiver, the best Saints receiver in Saints history, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I think I hate to say it like this, man, but he really don't have much to choose from, man. The only person that you can really think of that's a Saints great, in my opinion, is Joe Horn. I mean, yeah, you can talk about Eric Martin back in the day and stuff like that, but the New Orleans Saints, I mean, we got to be honest with ourselves, man. The Saints don't really have a rich tradition and great players of the past and stuff like that that people talk about, for the exception of the Dome Patrol and of course Ricky Jackson, who was in the Hall of Fame, and Willie Roaf, who's in the Hall of Fame. The Saints don't really have a tradition of having like those all-time greats. We are fortunate enough right now to see the Saints actually build a new legacy. See guys that eventually, like if they continue to play at a high level, end up going into the Hall of Fame. The Saints didn't really have that much success back in the early '90s and stuff like that when it comes to all-time greats. Now we can talk about guys like Marcus Colston, and Reggie Bush, two guys that got inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame. We can talk about people like Cam Jordan, who's close to becoming the number two all-time. I think he moved into number three as a pass rusher. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think he's gonna pass Ricky Jackson, but that's a whole nother story for another day. We're gonna have guys that you're gonna see and recognize, and we're gonna be talking about down the line. So when it comes to Michael Thomas, I mean, I think he can be an all-time great Saint. But all-time Saint receiver, best Saint receiver of all time. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, he really don't have to do much to do that. Bridgewater should have played. Hindsight is 2020. Everything good. Bridgewater should have played. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess I can understand why you feel that way, but Drew Brees did throw for over 300 yards in this game and 3 touchdowns. So, um, I guess the only way that you can say Drew Brees shouldn't have played is because uh, I don't know. I think you should have gave him an extra week instead of Bridgewater coming into the game. Maybe Drew Brees could have set out. That's the only argument I have. But when a guy throws for 300 yards, it's hard for me to complain about that. uh, let's let's see. Marcus Colston, Super Bowl champ with the most yards and touchdowns. Yep, Marcus Colston is. And in my opinion, Michael Thomas is a much better wide receiver than Marcus Colston is. And Marcus Colston was a man. I mean, you think about what Marcus Colston was. I mean, a guy who nobody really expected to be what he was. I mean, coming out of high school in the 7th round, into becoming an all-time great with the New Orleans Saints. The quiet storm. I mean, just a guy that carried. You know, carried himself in a dignified manner. Wasn't a guy who made a whole bunch of noise. Everybody know the little crossing of the heart, pointing up into the sky for the touchdown celebrations. That's who he was, man. And how quiet he came in and took the lead by storm as how quiet he left, you know. And just was an incredible talent. And like I say, he got inducted to the Saints Hall of Fame, well deserved. Let's see. Um, Brees is only 5 touchdowns behind Brady. I have a friend of mine, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna check out this podcast if he ain't watching right now. My boy Brandon Thompson. Now this guy right here, man, is my guy, but he has a bone to pick with Drew Brees. He feels that Drew Brees is selfish. Now hear him out on this. He says that he feel like Drew Brees is selfish because he feel like Drew Brees could have waited on the side and waited for the bye week in order for him to come back. He felt like Drew Brees came back because he sees Tom Brady getting closer and closer to breaking Peyton Manning's touchdown record or something like that, and he wants to break it. I don't know. I don't look at Drew Brees as being a selfish quarterback. I think that Drew Brees is just competitive and he wants to compete. I think that's what Drew Brees wants to do. I don't think it has absolutely nothing to do with being selfish on Drew Brees' part. I just think that he just wants to be out there with the guys. The fact that he never really got hurt before his career. Excuse me, y'all. It's been a long day. But let's see if Colston sticks out. Him and Thomas would have been beasting as wide receivers. I don't know about that, Jerry. I mean, when Michael Thomas came into the league, Marcus Colston, I mean, he was dealing with a bunch of injuries, man, a bunch of injuries, a bunch of little nagging things. He wasn't the Marcus Colston he was, of years past. So I think his career was kind of winding down and stuff like that. So I don't think they could have been that dynamic duo. Maybe if Michael Thomas came maybe like 3 or 4 years earlier before he did, or 2 years earlier before he did, maybe you would have had that opportunity. But Marcus Colston was a kind of a shell of himself around that time. I think that Michael Thomas came in at exactly the right time. When Marcus Colston was on his way out, and he came in, he elevated that position and took it to higher heights. So the Saints didn't miss a beat on that. Do you think P.J. Williams done because of Chauncey Gardner Johnson? No, I don't. I don't think that he's done. Make no mistake about it. PJ Williams has done an outstanding job, and I can't believe I'm saying this. And I think a lot of people know where I'm coming from because you know that I'm not really a huge fan of PJ Williams, but he's done an outstanding job in run support. He's done an outstanding job at tackling. He's done an outstanding job in the slot. He hasn't been giving up big plays. But when you look at the Chauncey, C.J. Gardner Johnson, when you see the way that he plays, you see that the Saints are putting him in all these different type of positions. When you see that he's out there making tackles, when you see him almost catching an interception today, it's hard for you to say that it's just going to be as simple as P.J. Williams serving a 2-game suspension and coming back. I mean, C.J. Gardner Johnson is a competitor. I watched that and saw that even when this guy was in college. I seen a couple of his interviews, him getting drafted by the Saints. He's a guy that has a lot of swag, a lot of confidence in himself, a confidence in his ability, and he's a guy that can be a threat down the line, man. He's a guy that can be a ball hawk. I mean, you look at this guy in college, man, he made all type of plays at the defensive position, creating turnovers and returning the ball for touchdowns. And that's the main reason why the Saints end up getting him. I mean, he plays the safety position, but as y'all can see, he can also play in the slot. So the Saints really made a huge pickup with him. And not to mention, man, he's a big guy, a big, strong guy. So PJ better watch out. It's crazy. Let's see. Who's the Saints play next week? Everything good. The Saints got a bye next week. They don't play anybody. The next game they play will be the week after. They're playing against the Atlanta Falcons in New Orleans. So that's another home game. It's another 1 o'clock start. So the Saints can rest up and get ready for them birds. Hey TJ, great to have you back, man. Jazzy Prince, thank you very much. Uh, let's see. Teddy made his bread anyway. Rather, he is the future quarterback for the Saints or starting for someone else next season. Outstanding, Teddy. Let me tell you something, Clint. And I need y'all to hear me out on this. If I was Teddy Bridgewater, if I was his agent, I'll say, man, look, I don't care if you don't play no more. I'm gonna tell you why. Because man, this man just set himself up. The only thing that Teddy Bridgewater could have done is to go out here and play and put on a poor performance against the Arizona Cardinals that could have possibly lost them a bunch of money. Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0 as a starter, 9 touchdowns, two interceptions. So regardless to how anybody felt about him at the beginning of the season, you check this dude out right now. I mean, this dude hotter than fish grease. Somebody is going to pay this dude a whole bunch of money. You know what I'm saying? So, in my opinion, like, best thing that ever happened to him. Like, his agent probably told him, like, man, look, hey, you don't need to play no more. Drew won't come back. Let him play because it puts him in a position for somebody to want to pay this man the big bucks. His stock has went up, and that probably was a bad thing for the Saints because if he was Drew Brees' successor, then most likely, he might not be anymore because he probably played himself out of the Saints tax bracket, if you know what I mean. Excuse me. Yeah, he probably played himself out of the Saints tag bracket. So, uh, let's see. Eli Apple actually looked like a first round pick. Yeah, Eli Apple has been playing outstanding this season, and it's good to see that he actually played in this game. I know he scared a lot of people last week. Especially his turf his cleat getting caught in the turf at Soldier Field, Chicago. He was on the ground. He was scared. It's good to know that it wasn't serious and he was in the game. Um, but I gotta say, the Saints secondary is looking outstanding. I mean, Marcus Williams, man, Marshawn Lattimore, playing like a shutdown corner. Uh, but let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about this game, man. There's a couple things that I seen in the game that were very questionable to me. One play, and no knock on Drew, but that was a terrible pass that he threw to Zach Line that was picked off by Patrick Peterson. Man, that was horrible. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if that was just one of them plays, but looking at Sean Payton's press conference, he said that it was like one of them plays that originally was designed for Alvin Kamara. I understand all that, but we all can agree that Zach Line is not Alvin Kamara. Okay, he is not Alvin Kamara. You throw that ball away. Sometimes I feel like Drew wants to just go for it all sometimes and throws the ball downfield. I looked at that play a couple times. He had Michael Thomas on the check down. Well, not Michael Thomas on the check down, but he did have Michael Thomas down the field, and he had an open Murray on a check down. So I feel like you got to sometimes take what the defense give you. You don't have to go for broke. I understand, you all about tempo, you all about momentum, but that was a horrible pass, man. And hopefully, we're going to see that again. But speaking of Patrick Peterson, it wouldn't be bad to see him on the Saints, right? Because he ain't doing nothing but wasting away in Arizona. We all can agree that Arizona is not like a place that's a couple years, a couple seasons away from winning nobody Super Bowl. So it's horrible to know that one of the most elite cornerbacks of all time, Patrick Peterson, possibly will never have an opportunity at a Super Bowl. So um, I gotta say, man, hopefully, a team that's in playoff contention can trade for that guy if it's not the Saints, man, because you hate to see a guy with that much talent just get wasted away, with teams that's continuously always trying to rebuild. Drew used to average 10 touchdowns, 15 interceptions a season, though. It's not unheard of for Brees to throw interceptions. Yeah, It's not uncommon for Drew to throw interceptions, but at the end of the day, man, you can't throw no interceptions like that. I don't know what was going on with that. I mean, honestly, man, Zach Line. I mean, Zach Line is mostly in the game for short yardage situations and little dump outs. You don't see Zach Line going down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't see that. Like so, it's kind of weird to actually see Zach Line, running a wheel route and think that you got. And it was not like he was on a linebacker or something. I mean, he was double covered. That's why I understand like what was going on with that play. Um, Murray is a beast. When Kamara returns, we need to give Murray more opportunities. Yeah, I agree. I think the Saints sometimes, they can get kind of, they can get kind of selfish when it comes to the passing game. Throwing the ball all over the place. But what the Saints have, man, offensively is a good running game. I mean, the Saints are probably one of the best running teams in the National Football League, man. You got great offensive linemen. These guys can block, pass protect, you know what I'm saying, and run block. So, I mean, you got a good combination of guys that can do both. And, you know, I think that you need to take advantage of that. I think that the Saints need to run the ball a little bit more in the first quarter. In the first half, if you ask me, Latavius Murray was out there beasting. And I feel like if they kept on, carrying, giving him the rock, I think that he probably would have broke one really big, in this game. But the Saints kind of buckled down and started throwing the ball all over the place because I think that Sean Payton once again wanted to show everybody that Drew was back and nothing's wrong with the thumb. And y'all want to see something? Watch this. Watch him throw the ball down the field. Watch him throw this ball to Austin Carr. Watch him throw this ball to Michael Thomas. Watch him throw this ball to Josh Hill. So you can't get away from your running game because I mean it's something special. I mean you even got Dwayne Washington coming in the game late with a big game, so that ought to show you right there that the Saints are a very good running team. Let's see. He turned his last season around though. After that, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I guess y'all having a conversation in the chat. Nothing wrong with fact checking, man. He threw like 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions for the rest of the season. I guess y'all talking about Drew Brees and his touchdown interceptions. Uh, let's see. Big ups to the O line. Stopped the 59 game sack streak from the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, outstanding, Clinton. That's a true fact. The Arizona Cardinals were one of those teams, 59 straight games with a sack. When you got guys like Chandler Jones and Terrell Suggs, who, even though he's been in the league for a very long time, he can still go out there and cause problems. When you have guys like that, coming, and the Saints, I mean, man, no disrespect to Arizona in that first half, man. They was getting to Drew Brees, man. Seeing a lot of pressure coming his way. But they couldn't get home. So shouts out to the offensive line on that. They did an outstanding job. Great job by the offensive line. The offensive line this season, in my opinion, they went up against some of the best pass rushers in football. And these guys haven't even sniffed Drew Brees. I mean, we had last week with Khalil Mack. I mean, the Mack attack wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying? They kept that. Like they put that in check. So when you got Khalil Mack coming to town and you can be able to neutralize that or not come to town, but you go to Soldier Field and go up against Khalil Mack and he doesn't even sniff your quarterback, that's saying something, man. Roquan Smith and all those other cats, man, Trevathan. I mean, these guys are elite defensive players, and they're not getting any pressure on Teddy Bridgewater last week, and you don't have any pressure on Drew Brees for the most part this week. It's impressive. I was It was the best experience ever. I'm glad that I saw Kyler Murray. Uh, Kyler Murray has a lot of growing up to do. I mean, he's a young player. He's only going to get better. Uh, I think that this game right here was a little bit too much for him. But he will get better. It just comes with the territory, man. You're a young player. You're gonna have some growing pains. So Kyler Murray, he'll be able to bounce back from. I've seen some good things from him. But you can tell he was a rookie in this game. TJ, you should tell your friends that if Drew Brees was selfish, he wouldn't have been benched for 5 games last season in the final minute and against the Cardinals today. That's a good point. That's a good point, Invictus. But I don't know, man. I think he just has some kind of personal vendetta against Drew Brees. I don't know, man. But one thing you can't say about Drew Brees made this New Orleans Saints franchise really matter. And took it to a whole different level. Uh, I think sometimes we get spoiled as Saints fans because sometimes we forget about how horrible this franchise was. And that's one of the things that I never forget about. Yeah, I talk a little noise about the Atlanta Falcons and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I watched the New Orleans Saints for a long time. I mean, this ain't my first rodeo. This ain't my first picnic. I've been watching New Orleans Saints. I mean, man, long, long time. So I done laughed. And I didn't cry, and you know what I'm saying, I didn't celebrate it and all that kind of stuff. So I think that sometimes we get a little spoiled because how successful this team has been since 2006 and Drew Brees and Sean Payton came to town. But we can't take these things for granted, man. We can't take Drew Brees for granted. We can't take Sean Payton for granted, and we can't take the success of this franchise for the past few years for granted. So I think that's one of those cases, though. But I love him, man. That's my boy. But I have to disagree with what he said about Drew. Michael Thomas is the number one receiver. That's absolutely true. Um, who should Saints get before the trade deadline? I said two people, man. Well, I'll put three in there. If you can get Tyler Eifert, the tight end out of Cincinnati, or you can get AJ Green, or you can get both. I can care less. Also, Robbie Anderson. The only thing that bothers me about Robbie Anderson, um, they said that he has like some a little checkered past and stuff like that. He could be a possible issue in the locker room. I don't know. He kind of turned his life around. I know he had a lot of issues. Like I think he's from Florida and stuff like that. Man, he was getting in a lot of trouble, and then of course they put some mentors around him. He was able to kind of change his life. So hopefully, he's not that same person, but um, I think a guy like AJ Green would be good. A guy like Tyler Eifert. I think if you have two pass catching tight ends like guys like that, I think that would be beneficial to the Saints. Uh, should we sign Ajayi? No, we should not sign Jay Ajayi. If the only reason I would have said we would have signed Jay Ajayi if he was like in that Zach Zenner role, like how he was last week. I think the Saints are good. I think we all can agree. I mean, you look at Alvin Kamara. Latavius Murray the way he's running. And even Dwayne Washington gave you a little glimpse of what he can do today. So I think the Saints are good, man. I don't think the Saints need to go out here and get no more running backs. I think all three of the running backs that they have can get the job done. And if you add Zach Lyon in for short yard situation, I think you got something with the New Orleans Saints. I don't miss Aaron Brooks. I'm sorry. There were good times, but much more bad times. Aaron Brooks was the first Saints quarterback to win a playoff game. We can never take that away from him. Wasn't a very good quarterback. I think we all can agree with that. Wasn't very good. Anybody that smiles after they throw an interception is not my type of guy that I want to be leading my franchise. All right. I mean, I'm forever, indebted to him as a Saints fan that he won uh, the first playoff game for the New Orleans Saints, which I was fortunate enough to be at the game, a young 13-year-old TJ sitting in the luxury box, courtesy of the New Orleans Saints. I was a part of a youth group, and the New Orleans Saints actually allowed us to go to the playoff game, man, and sit in one of the luxury boxes. So that was like one of the greatest experiences ever, right there, man. So uh, I was happy about that. But as far as like Aaron Brooks being, a good quarterback, nah. I feel like we should trade Kamara. What? I don't think we need him no more. We should get a deep defensive player for Kamara. Man, Pennywise, what is you talking about? Man, oh no, no, bro. No. Trade Alvin Kamara, you crazy? Oh, you crazy. Oh my goodness. No, sir. No, sir. No. Terrible. Terrible, Pennywise. I respect your opinion, but that is terrible. That is a terrible decision. That is a terrible decision, man. I'm sorry, man. It's horrible. Uh, yeah, young TJ at the first Saints playoff win. That's all for real, man. I was there. I was at that game, man. Me and my uncle Jerry, man. Shouts out to my uncle Jerry. We at the game, man. I remember we caught the bus, as a matter of fact. We caught the what we caught? Caught that Franklin bus, man. We caught that Franklin bus and we walked down the Poydras Street, man. And I can just remember, going into that elevator, man, and watching it in that luxury box. That was awesome. Like that was straight awesome right there. Um, Look, Pennywise, I know you like Latavius Murray. It's pretty obvious, but man, that's terrible GM work, my friend. Much love to you, but that's terrible GM work. If you talk about trading Alvin Kamara, oh no, man. No, sir. Kamara for two good players. Man, what do we need? What do we need? Like defensively. Like what are we missing? The Saints getting the Saints getting pressure with the front four. I mean, we even had Mario Edwards getting pressure today. You know what I'm saying? We had Tuttle out there getting pressure. This is a team that really, honestly, defensively, for the first time, don't really have any weaknesses. Now you could probably add a linebacker in there or something like that, but at the end of the day, man, I'm not trading no Alvin Kamara for no defensive player. Like for real, like the Saints got one of the top defenses in the league right now. I'm not down with that one. Let's see. You know that before the Texans and Saints were the last NFL teams to ever win a playoff game. Geez, never take Brees for granted. If you think the Saints will trade Kamara for someone else, you're out of your damn mind. Yeah, man. Like Alvin Kamara ain't going nowhere. Alvin Kamara gonna be with the Saints for a very long time, and he's gonna make a lot of money. Okay. Um. Let's see. Jacob. Uh. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Wrong group. If you're in here cursing, man, I'm just gonna have to ask you to leave. Like we don't do that here. We are. What I'm saying, we a PG group. We one of them groups that I want to see. What I'm saying, I want to be able to show to everybody. So no disrespect to anybody, but I ask that you leave the group. Like just leave the video because we got young people of all ages. You know what I'm saying, that are checking out this podcast right now. So that's disrespectful, and I don't want to see that. So if I see you cursing, man, I can't roll with you like that. I can't. We gotta respect everybody. I can let a damn and a hell go, but when you using the S word or the F word and stuff like that, we ain't rolling like that. Okay, not in this group. Latavius Murray really has impressed me these past few weeks, and you call it yet again. Hope Sean use him even more when Kamara returns. Yeah, I agree. He's done an outstanding job, which I've always liked Latavius Murray. I've told people, I've told a lot of people, and I'm not trying to beat myself on, what I'm saying, pat myself on the back or beat myself on the chest, but I know. Um, I know what I saw. I know what I saw out in Oakland. I know what I saw out there in Minnesota. This guy's really good. The only thing about it was he just stayed getting injured. He was always these little nagging injuries, and the way that he runs, he's. I think who said this today? I don't. I think that may have been Rich Gannon. He said that he runs more like a Le'Veon Bell. He is a Le'Veon Bell type. He's a tall, big guy. He's not gonna wow you with his elusiveness, but he can get downhill. And when he gets downhill, he's hard to stop. And I think the Saints, all things considered, I mean, losing Mark Ingram was a crushing blow. I mean, we all love Mark Ingram in the Who Dat Nation. We're glad to see him having success in Baltimore, but I think that this is a great addition to the New Orleans Saints, and I think now we're seeing why. Um, Imagine if we got Dalvin Cook. Yeah, imagine if we got him, but Dalvin Cook is playing incredible this season, but we cannot forget that Dalvin Cook has been injured most of his career. This is the most consistent Dalvin Cook has been. Uh, throughout his entire career. You know, most of the time he's hurt, out for the season, torn ACL, MCL, LCL, NAACP, FBI, CIA, always something hurt on him, you know. But now he is a guy who is really showing what he actually has. And, you know, I'm happy for him. I really am. I'm happy for Dalvin Cook. Uh, I think he's going to give the Minnesota Vikings a lot of success down the line. I think he's a guy that's a great successor to Adrian Peterson. And I think that game on Thursday night kind of, you know, was passing of a torch type thing. You know, Adrian Peterson in the house, you know, Minnesota Viking all time great comes there, gets standing ovation. You know, and also Dalvin Cook has an incredible game in his own right. So it's kind of like, you know, the passing of the torch a little bit. Um, Really don't see a whole bunch of new players joining our team this year. Let's not mess up with the chemistry we are so fortunate to have right now. Yeah, I don't want that, man. I ain't never really been big on no trades and all that kind of stuff. You know, I always think that chemistry is important. I think that the guys that you select, the 53 that come into, you know, your locker room after preseason, these are the guys that went through training camp, that build those relationships, the guys who you know, go out there and they compete against each other and love each other and care for each other. You know, I always like those type of guys. People, you know, saying sign this guy, trade for this guy, this, that, and the third. You know, I feel like those are like what teams that are struggling do. You know, they try to go out here, oh, we're a couple pieces away. Oh, we're gonna trade for this guy right here, you know, but the New Orleans Saints, in my opinion, you know, they don't have that issue. I mean, they go out here and they try to get these trades and stuff like that to try to build depth, and more so than just trying to get a guy who can actually make that position better. In my opinion, I think it's more for depth purposes, but I do feel like they need to try to see if they can get one person at the receiver position, a guy that they can actually make a trade for, because you know, teams are going to start zeroing in, double and triple covering and daring other players at the wide receiver position to beat them. You know, who is that guy going to be? Is it going to be Traquan Smith, who missed about 3 or 4 games with a high ankle sprain? Is it going to be Ted Ginn Jr., who can still run? I think, but you know, is not going to beat you with his route running ability. Is it going to be Austin Carr, a guy that you forget even out there? Is it going to be Dan Arnold, a guy that you can't really trust? I mean, who is it going to be? So the New Orleans Saints need somebody opposite of Michael Thomas that can also go out there and not make their offense at the receiver position look so doggone predictable. uh, Chiefs D is trash. Saints can put up 40 on them Chiefs. Um, it's not really that good. Yeah, I think we all can agree that the Kansas City Chiefs defense isn't that good. But you know, but I mean, in order for the Saints and order for the Saints to play the Chiefs, these two will have possibly meet in the Super Bowl. So that's the only way that they can play each other for us to know for sure. So in order for that to happen, the Saints got to continue to win and be successful. Ted Ginn is really underrated. Ted Ginn isn't underrated. I think everybody knows what Ted Ginn can do. The problem is, Ted Ginn is not a guy that you can just count on to give you 9 catches for 100 plus yards week after week, like a Michael Thomas, or even a 7 catch for over 100 yards. You might see Ted Ginn go for 100 yards if he has 2 downfield bombs and yards after the catch, but the Saints need somebody, man, that's a good crisp route runner that can catch the ball in space, that can also, you know, go out there and get that yak, you know. So Ted Ginn Jr., he can get that yak if he get behind a defender, but when it comes down to it, the Saints need somebody else, in my opinion. Uh, let's see. Tyreek Hill is underrated. I don't think Tyreek Hill is underrated. I think Tyreek Hill is a good wide receiver, and I think a lot of people respect him. I think he's always mentioned as one of the top 10 receivers in the league. Uh, let's see. Let's see. All this midseason trades are for fantasy players. Chemistry is too important. I agree, Kentland. Once again, chemistry is very important. Oh no, don't get it twisted. Ted Ginn ain't no Mike T, but he is a bit underrated. Yes, we do need another receiver. Yeah, look, I don't think. I don't think that he's underrated. I look at him like the Devery Henderson or the Robin Meacham or the Joe Morgan of the team. That's the way I look at Ted Ginn Jr. Like a guy that can take the top off the defense. You throw the ball down the field. He burned the dude. You know what I'm saying? He catch the ball. So that's the way I look at him. But I don't look at him as being that guy that goes out there that can, take the pressure off Michael Thomas and people be like, oh man, I gotta guard Ted Ginn. Nah, I don't see that. The Saints should get Kareem Hunt. Now I think Cleveland gonna keep him. Sign Dez Bryant. Dez wouldn't be a bad decision. But it depends on how Dez looks. Depends on what kind of shape he's in. I don't even know if well, he said October, November is when he's looking to come back. So I don't know. Maybe the Saints might call him in during a bye week. You never know. What type of receiver do you think we need? RG, this is very simple to me. The type of receiver that the Saints need is a guy that can take the pressure off of Michael Thomas, a guy who can, win his one-on-one matchups because Michael Thomas is double covered. A guy that can go out there and get yards after the catch, a guy who's strong, a guy that they can use also in goal line situations. Um, I think they just need somebody like that. You know, you have a speedy guy, Ted Ginn. Um, and I think that you might need somebody like a third down guy too. A guy that we used to have back in the day, like a Lance Moore or Willie Snead. That's exactly what the Saints need. So if they can find a guy like that, they'll be very, very good. But eventually, teams are once again going to kind of buckle down on Michael Thomas, and you know you got to make sure that you have somebody out there that can possibly step up. And I haven't seen that out of Traquan Smith, even when he has been in the game. So, uh, do you think we should trade Teddy Bridgewater? No, I don't think we should trade Teddy Bridgewater, Jacob. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that Teddy Bridgewater should remain the backup for the New Orleans Saints. I think that he's a good asset to know that you have a guy if your starting quarterback goes down can step up, rise to the occasion, go out there and win your game and drive the bus and make sure it don't crash. So, and on top of that, Jacob, Teddy Bridgewater is going to make a lot of money next season. So Teddy Bridgewater is going to be probably the next quarterback of the Chicago Bears or something like that, or a team that's really needs a quarterback. And I'm proud of that. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Teddy Bridgewater, but the guy's story, where he came from, as far as with that injury, possibly almost losing his leg to overcoming that. I mean, you gotta cheer for the guy. Rather you want like Taysom Hill more than him or whatever, um, gotta cheer for him. Gotta be glad for the guy. Is Patrick Mahomes overrated? No, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is overrated. I think that Patrick Mahomes is an incredible quarterback. He was a pick away from being a New Orleans Saint. The Kansas City Chiefs moved a spot up, a spot up to get him over the Saints, and that's how we end up getting Marshawn Lattimore. So I think both teams won that sweepstakes. But I think that he is an incredible quarterback, and he's going to be the future of the league. Bridgewater is the future. We can't draft Joe Burrow. Bridgewater might have been a future if he would have sat on the bench and held that clipboard. But in my opinion, I think he played himself into some very, very serious dough. And I'm talking about dough that the Saints won't be able to give him. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. The number two receiver is Alvin Kamara. That is very true, Jerry Simmons. I hope if Teddy leaves, he goes somewhere that they actually take care of him. Yeah, like I said, he played himself into a lot of money, a lot of money. I don't know if y'all look if Jimmy Garoppolo. You think about this, Jimmy Garoppolo can get over $100 million for going 5-0. Again, when he got traded from the Patriots to the 49ers. Trust and believe, Teddy Bridgewater about to get that dough from somebody. Somebody about to pay that man. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's gonna be Miami. I don't know if it's gonna be Chicago or some of these other teams that's struggling and need a quarterback. But somebody gonna pay Teddy. He steady Teddy gonna get that chetty. You know what I'm saying? I want Joe Burrow. I think a lot of people want Joe Burrow right now, and the way that he's playing, and not to mention that the offense that is ran by LSU, of course, is nothing but a light version of the New Orleans Saints offense. So he comes in, he'll know the offense. But I like Joe Burrow, but I think that I don't know, man. I think he kind of playing himself into that top 10 picture. Like he's really playing at a high level right now. I know a lot of people talking about Justin Herbert and all those guys out there, but why not Joe Burrow? I mean, he's not a guy who is going out there being all elusive like Jalen Hurts or something like that. I mean, he's standing in the pocket, standing strong, delivering the ball on time to chasing them. So he also runs and scrambles and stuff like that when he needs to. So in my opinion, I think somebody's going to really pick this guy up early. I think he's really playing himself into some great draft position. LSU has been doing an outstanding job since we talking about him, man. Shouts out to LSU. I watched that game yesterday while I was in the hospital with my son. Great win by LSU. Auburn, they did an outstanding job, man. Great defense. Auburn has a really good defense. I think I seen an article today. They said they're going to have the best defense that nobody ever talks about because of the two losses. But um, LSU is serious, man, and I'm interested to see how this game against Alabama is going to go. This might be the year. This might be the year that LSU pulls off that upset and beats the Alabama Crimson Tide. This might be the year. They might have a quarterback to do the job. We don't know. Do you think Cam Newton still getting traded? Psh, not after this game, he not. Not after the game I just watched. No, sir. Like this man ain't going nowhere. Like Kyle Allen, look, I think we all can agree. I mean, he done an outstanding job, 4-0 as a starter. 4-1 now, but after watching him today, I think we all can agree. I think we all can agree that he wasn't ready. Like I mean, he was controlling the bus. You know what I'm saying? He had it going to roll, but I mean, what was that trademark Kyle Allen throw? What was that Kyle Allen pass? Where was it at? Like in any of these games where he went 4-0, what was it? That's what I want to know. Now I'm not even trying to diss. What was that pass? What was that clutch play to sustain a lead? You know what I'm saying? When the Carolina Panthers had the lead and they needed that first down, where that was at? I didn't see it. So um, no knock to him, but I mean he still has a lot of work to do, and I don't think that the Carolina Panthers are going to give up on Cam Newton just yet. Uh, let's see. I think that at the end of the day, uh, my final thoughts before I get up out of here. I think the New Orleans Saints are the best team in the NFC. I think we seen today the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, the destruction over the Carolina Panthers, which uh, man, a sorry, pathetic job by Ron Rivera and his staff. When your squad comes off a bye week and that's the best you can do, horrible. But at the end of the day, the New Orleans Saints, in my opinion, are the best team in the NFC. The New Orleans Saints were clicking on all cylinders today. Outstanding job by the offense. Outstanding job by the defense. Probably one of the most complete games the Saints have played all season long, in my opinion. Drew Brees is back. He started off a little rusty, in my opinion. I think that pass that flew over the head. I don't know if that was Josh Hill or Dan Arnold, but he kind of settled it down and he did what Drew Brees do. And that's throw for over 300 yards. That's make good decisions. That's do what Drew Brees does. Shouts out to the running game. Outstanding job by Latavius Murray for the second week in a row, proving that he's worth signing. Dwayne Washington, a young running back, coming into the game late, showing that he can tote that rock. The New Orleans Saints is just something serious, man, and I think they're putting the league on notice. It's just something about this team, man. This team smells like smoke because they've been through fire, man. For the last couple of years, the New Orleans Saints have went home out the playoffs in heartbreaking, tragic fashion, And I think with this team right here, they're battle tested. I mean, they're ready, man. I mean, they've been through all kind of things. So anything that you could possibly throw at this team, they're ready for. And when you're dealing with a team like this, it's very, very dangerous. So regardless of how successful San Francisco 49ers are playing, no matter how successful the Green Bay Packers are playing, the New Orleans Saints, I'm telling you, man, it's just something about this team. This team is built different than any other team that I've seen in the league this year. And I'm not even saying this as a homer. It's just something about these guys, man. It just they got this resilience. They got this never say die attitude. They got this next man up mentality. They got this will to win that I haven't seen from a team in a very long time, and it seems like they don't want anything less than a Super Bowl. That seems like what they're doing right now. So if they continue to play the way that they've been playing, if the defense continue to stop the run, if the corners and secondary continues to shut down the passing game, if they continue to do that and get pressure with the front four and the offense do their thing, and possibly go out here throwing a bye week and pick somebody up at the wide receiver position, a guy that can catch the ball. I think the New Orleans Saints can be one of those teams that can get that number one seed, home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and they can right the wrongs of yesteryear by making a Super Bowl appearance. But that's my opinion about this week, and I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. If you have not already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. We're also available on Facebook. Go to facebook.com, search State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all once again. Your boy is back. Thank you all for your prayers, your love, and your support. Continue to, pray for my son. Even though he's healthy and stuff like that, and he's back at home, he's still recovering as well. So y'all look out for him as well. And thank you all once again for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who that?